can't see. This is Nickolas Wildstar on the opposite side of the frame. And this is DeLeon right there. Okay, next, bam.
Good. Consider.
How you doing, Mr. Wildstar?
Fantastic, man. Having a good evening. Thank you for having me on.
Always a pleasure to have you on Conversations with Mr. Clark. And what we want to do is talk about not only the COVID pandemic we're going through right now, but we also want to touch a little bit on the Tamir Rice situation. Want to touch a little bit on Stefante's house and what we're doing and what we're opening here. But right now, we have breaking news that there is a concert on Skid Row right now. A concert on Skid Row in Los Angeles, and they're calling it a super spreader. So when you hear about a concert happening in the middle of Los Angeles, what does that make you think, especially when they say it's a super spreader? So can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, it's sad that they're talking about it in the media and painting it as such a negative thing, especially if it's a Christian concert and they're doing their best to raise people's spirits right now when they're having a hard time, especially those people out there on Skid Row. So if anything, they're spreading the Holy Spirit and the love of God that most people out there are definitely in need of, and we could use more of in society. It's a shame that our supposed leaders are really leading by example. They aren't really being brave anymore. And we've seemed to embrace that of our supposed representatives, that they don't have to be out there in the streets fighting against this head on and leading by example. And that's, again, by showing that they're not afraid. I mean, it's sad that the media wants to talk about how many people have, I guess, died from coronavirus, but they don't really talk about that either. They talk about the amount of cases versus the amount of people that have actually survived. So it's a lot of misinformation going on right now with the media, as well as a way to kind of drive the agenda to get people to become more complacent and having their lives be controlled by the government. And we shouldn't allow that. We definitely have the right to be free and choose for ourselves how we want to live our lives. And if anything, those people that are out there choosing to have this concert, that are attending, they're going to be very well blessed and protected by the energy that they're bringing to the scene right now.
Okay. Now there are right now they're saying there's over 2.25 million confirmed COVID cases out there. Do you think that the numbers will go up because of this concert, or do you think that this is all some type of conspiracy theory or whatnot? How do you feel about that?
Well, I believe it has a point. As far as it being a conspiracy, that conspiracy is definitely more factual than theory, especially when you can prove that the coronavirus has, again, a 99% survival rate. Nobody's really dying from it, and the numbers are pretty much inflated at this point. We're being told about more so the number of cases when there's been false positives of cases reported. So it's up in the air as far as that number is concerned. Even here in the state of California, the Governor Newsom had a mess up with the technology that was supposed to track the amount of COVID cases in the state of California. So those numbers aren't truly accurate as well. So how can we truly trust them to be providing us with the correct information? And we're finding out more so it just has to do with the redistribution of wealth. They're inflating our dollar right now as they continue to borrow from the Federal Reserve and inflate our currency. And we're seeing the downfall of our dollar happen right before our eyes. They're destroying our economy by not allowing people to create the wealth of this economy by working. That's how money is made. It isn't made by hitting print on the printer and making it out of thin air. And that's exactly what's happening right now in Washington by the Federal Reserve, again, giving or our government really borrowing the money from our Federal Reserve to the tune of trillions of dollars to supposedly bail out we the people. But we're finding out in these budgets that they're giving hundreds of millions of dollars to foreign countries, or wasteful government projects. It's just a waste of money, but they're making money off of this pandemic. And if anything, it should be a crime that we're holding them accountable for.
Yeah, I hear you. So the COVID-19 deaths in California hit 25,000, and you know, and I hear when these effects of the shutdowns having on small businesses, having on restaurants, having on education, schools. You know, right. It's very saddening, and I hear you with the 99% survival rate of that as well. But do you think that the governor being cautious, or do you think that he's just overstepping his power, overusing his power?
Definitely.
Can you speak on that?
Well, the reason why he's abusing his authority at this point is because the lockdowns that he's imposed, let's say in the beginning of this, we all have yet to see what the devastation could have been caused from the outbreak of this virus, if you want to call it that. And at that point, it was probably validated for him to, you know, proceed with such extreme measures. But at this point, it's the third lockdown. The case numbers in California continue to increase. He just extended the current lockdown, which was supposedly going on for 30 days. So now the people of California will be locked down even longer, with no end in sight. And actually a state judge actually determined that he is acting outside of his authority and shouldn't be, you know, imposing any of these lockdown restrictions any longer. And this came over the fall. He was disputed in court for having imposed an executive order to allow the state to mandate mail-in ballots. So because of that, as a result, he shouldn't even be imposing any executive orders at this point. And with the facts of the matter and the numbers, the data, it should speak for itself. So if he is supposed to be paying attention to these scientists, he's not at this point. He's just acting arbitrarily.
No, I hear you all together. Thank you for sharing that with us as well. Now, I'm going to switch topics a little bit, but I'm going to keep it on COVID a little bit. Do you think the COVID is disproportionately affecting the African American community? Would you like to speak on
that? No, I think that's another ploy again to have the African American community and every other disadvantaged community or person of color, where they're able to line up and get this vaccine. You know, historically, our country has always kind of targeted those demographics to do their test studies. And with this vaccination, it's an opportunity for them to do exactly that. And we've seen cases of where here in the state of California, our frontline workers even have gotten those vaccinations and have proven to be ineffective. You know, they've contracted the virus again and ended up getting sick, probably sicker because they were vaccinated. So I don't feel like it's a need for Black people to start running up to get tested on by this big pharma takeover of our government. That's really what we're seeing, is the pharmaceutical companies pressuring our government to say, we want to start making sure that everyone is vaccinated. It wasn't working enough with the flu vaccine. because too many people were starting to wake up to the fact that, you know, they're putting other chemicals and other harmful things into these vaccinations, into these flu vaccines, and it started to decline. All of a sudden now you have a new virus, and they have a new vaccine already created for it, when they've even said a correct study of a vaccination takes about 7 to 10 years. So they've fast-tracked this testing period for this vaccination, all to, again, inject us all. And if you look into the technology that's actually being used, it's a gene editing tool called CRISPR, CRISPR. It's a gene editing tool that some scientists developed, that's being used in this vaccine, that supposedly is going to make the vaccine more.
Scott Schmidt is commenting like crazy. He said it's an mRNA vaccine, not a typical.
Yes, and the protein that's being used in that is, again, a gene editing tool. You can look it up, and
Scott Schmidt.
He's
one of my favorite. You know everything. Scott, we love you. You know, he says the libertarian strategy. This is Scott. I love Scott. This Scott says libertarian strategy: open everything, place a Pigovian tax on businesses that refuse to wear masks. And then he says, and they skip down. He says, yes, lower levels of vitamin D, proven. And then he skips down. He says, it's an mRNA vaccine, not a typical one. So somebody like Scott, I want to say, is active and engaged in the conversation. And this is what we want to see, people being engaged, like our favorite Republican, Mr. Schmidt. You know, actually engaged and joining the conversation. When it comes to COVID, the 19 experience, everybody's going to have different experiences, different thoughts and different processes about this. Being out there. Oh, Scott says no Republican. He's libertarian now. So Scott Schmidt has switched over to libertarian. You, Nickolas Wildstar, has switched over to Republican. This is getting crazy.
I'm a libertarian. This is
getting crazy. Look.
I'm rebranding.
Oh, libertarian. Okay, hold on. Let me cut you out right there. Okay, so, all right. So, Scott Schmidt, I want to ask you, brother, what made you leave the Republican Party and turn into a libertarian? Okay, and Ed Flores, my boy Ed, come on here. Ed said balance. Okay, so what made you turn into leave the Republican Party and turn to a libertarian? And then also for Wildstar, I want to ask you, what made you leave the Libertarian Party and become a Republican libertarian? And I see you with your Ron Paul shirt. Don't think you're not getting unrecognized. We see it. But, you know, we've always said if you're not a Democrat, you're a Republican. Like if you're not black, you're white or something like that. So you say you're a Republican now, but you're still a Libertarian Republican. Explain that to the people. Explain that to me. Explain that to Scott Schmidt. Explain that to Ed Flores. Explain that to the people that love you, and yet you are abandoning our party. What do they explain that?
Well, as you can see, it says Ron Paul Republican, you know, and there's a big distinction. And the difference between
no, wait, before you say that, I remember when I said I was a civil libertarian. Remember that?
Yeah.
The way they dragged me through the mud, I was treated like shit. I'm still treated like shit for being a civil libertarian. But Scott Schmidt says this. He said bad policy. This is what he's talking about, why he left the Republican Party. He said he left the Republican Party because bad policy was a contagion that couldn't embrace the Republican stupidity. They didn't support me with money and didn't care about me, so I moved on. I don't know why you think the Libertarian Party will care about you either, Scott, but we understand. But for you, Mr. Wildstar, a black man in America, the Republican Party has been tarnished by Donald Trump. He says the Republican Party gave him $25,000 for his nonpartisan race. I'm a left libertarian. He said the Libertarian Party, excuse me. The Libertarian Party gave Scott Schmidt $2,500 for his nonpartisan race, and the Republican Party, the GOP, gave him $0. When you were running for office as a libertarian, how much support did you get financially from the Libertarian Party?
About $1,200.
About $1,200. And okay, why do you? Okay,
that's how much I got. But that's the thing. It's the Libertarian Party.
Let's be real. The Libertarian Party
like that. You know what I mean? They're not the Republicans. They're not the Democrats. So they don't have this big war chest of campaign.
Well, they gave Scott Schmidt $2,500 for a nonpartisan race, and he's a left Libertarian, and he's a Republican. So I want to ask you, hold on, Wildstar, why do you think you only got $1,200 from the Libertarian Party?
Well, a multitude of things. Like I said, the Libertarian Party is really volunteer-based when it comes to funding. So we don't have, they don't have the big donors. You know what I'm saying? The Libertarian Party doesn't have big donors when it comes to campaign funds, you know, and when every candidate runs for office, it's pretty much every man for himself. So you have to do your own fundraising for your campaign, you know, and get all of the money that you're going to need for yourself. The only funds that they were able to cough up for me was to make sure that I had a statement in the candidate candidate statement in the voter handbook. So it was about $25 a word. And like I said, that's a pretty chunk of change. So they covered that to make sure that I had a statement in the book. But the candidate support committee, which I believe it's called, they did the fundraising to help get money to help candidates. But another thing is a misuse of funds. And a lot of that is used on fundraising events opposed to helping candidates. And they see candidates that are running for an executive office, such as, you know, mayor or governor, for that matter, a lost cause. So they're not going to bet on black, so to speak. No pun intended. And that also has something to play with it as well. You know, as much as they, you know, proclaim to be the party that's about unity and individualism and being embracing of that, you still have people that battle prejudices. And, you know, they had ways of showing that without being directly racist. But that's the one thing about the Republican Party is they've been damaged by Donald Trump and what he's done, the alt-right, and painting the Republican Party as being this extremism, you know, about exceptionalism.
So you got Scott saying he was only Libertarian for 4 months and they helped him out financially and embraced him like a family. He said the GOP spat me out and looked at me odd when I tried making a difference, so fuck them. Did the Libertarian Party embrace you like family?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Do you feel like the GOP is now a cult of Trump that wants to overturn the election?
Yes and no. I feel like the party itself.
So you're part of a party who you just said yes and no to, that you feel like is a cult of Trump and trying to overturn the election. How can you be how can you remain a part of that party and believe that?
Because not every Republican feels that way. And I've been out there.
But if the majority of the Republicans feel that way, and don't you feel like you're part of the majority?
Well, yeah. I mean, you have people that are loyal to their political party. No matter what they do wrong, they can't do no wrong. You know, if they're a Republican or a Democrat, I'm facing the same thing and trying to recall Newsom and getting out there and speaking with people that identify as being a Democrat or a leftist or a liberal or whatever the case may be, and they still sign that petition to recall Newsom. So when do
you agree with overturning the election?
No, I think at this point you're being a sore loser, man. Every election throughout my entire life, voting history has always been rigged to some degree. When Al Gore ran for office, it was rigged, you know. When Obama ran for office, the
Supreme Court decided that
it was rigged, you know. Shit, when Trump ran for office, it was rigged, supposedly. But it's like, here it is happening again. And the people just that are too loyal to tribalism, political party tribalism, are, riding for this cause, and it's a lost cause. But they aren't accepting defeat, and that's really all it's going to take. It's going to happen in some way, shape, or another, because the majority of Americans want to see a new president.
Are you more confident in a Biden Harris presidency?
Not at all.
Okay. And then TJ Sheldon just logged on. He said they are not trying to overturn it. They honestly believe he won. They will pass a lie detector test showing they are convinced it was rigged and stolen.
Oh yeah, of course. And that's
do you honestly believe Trump won?
No.
Okay.
I don't care who.
And do you see you being against your party, with you being against the president of the United States, or how do you see it?
No, because there's tons of Republicans, even elected officials, that have come out to speak against him, demanding that the election results be overturned. I mean, you have. Are you looking for
the support of the Trump supporters?
What's that?
Are you looking for the support of, as Trump likes to say, the forgotten people? Are you looking to reach out to them as you are?
I'm going to reach out to them just as I would every voter that I may agree or disagree with. But if they choose to support me, that's going to be their choice. And I have had people say, I support the president and I'm going to support you. That's fine with me, And
if you're not accepted by the Republican Party, as you were accepted by the Libertarian Party, what will you do next?
I'm not looking to be accepted by the Republican Party. That's the thing. I'm trying to win over the Republican base by letting them know that.
Do you care if you're accepted or not by the Republican Party?
No, because the only thing the Republican Party has to offer me, and would probably offer me, for if anything, would be money. That's all they're good for. That's, as far as support, it's going to come from the individuals involved with the party. I've learned that you believe with the Libertarian Party is it takes the people involved to change the party itself. So do
you think it'll be harder for you to reach out to Black voters as a Republican than as you can and would be able to as a Democrat or a Libertarian?
No. Actually, believe it or not, I've been speaking to tons of Black people about me running as a Republican, and they, if anything, pat me on the back for it and say, I'm glad that you're doing something different and trying to, recreate a new image of what a Black politician looks like, because it doesn't have to be a Democrat. The next gen politician is going to look like something like this. You know what I'm saying? And they aren't going to fit in any box or any mold. But when I also tell them, hey, it's also to level the playing field. As much as I would love to run as an independent or a libertarian for that matter, when it comes to duality, people are stuck in the mindset where I must vote for a Republican or a Democrat in order to have a opportunity for my vote to count, and the candidate that I want to support to have a chance to win. So since my political beliefs align more so with the Republican Party, since I am pro Second Amendment and I am pro personal liberties and less taxation, it aligns more so with the Republican Party. Now, what Trump has done to the Republican Party, I'll have to wipe away.
So when it comes to you being a Republican, when it comes to underfunded, underrepresented at-risk communities, what would you do different in those communities that the Democrats have done or that traditional Republicans have done in those communities? What is your broad vision? What is the future of a broad vision? What is the vision of a Black Republican like yourself look like in underfunded communities when it comes to reaching out and doing things differently?
Well, of course, when it comes to community improvements, we want to make sure that our money isn't getting wasted. And right now it is. Every budget that comes out, you can look at them because when they make them accessible, it's available to the public. We just don't look at that information. But if we see it in some news report, now we end up finding out, oh, well, this politician spent $30,000 on a desk, or they spent, $10,000 on a trip to go from LA to Sacramento.
Do you believe in defunding the police?
To some degree, yes, indeed, I do. I mean, we need to make sure that our money is being.
If you told the Republicans defund the police, how do you think they would react?
I believe they would be supportive of the idea, especially when they consider what I'm offering to do.
You think the majority of Republicans will agree with defund the police?
It's attacking the issue from a conservative point of view. Now, look at it as this way. We're all taxpayers here in the state of California. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, or whatever.
There's no way. I'm sorry, I love you, but I'm not going to let you slide with that one.
Believe it or not,
I'm going to let you get away with that. There is no way Republicans anywhere in the United States of America are agreeing with this anything that says defund their police.
I'm gonna get them recorded on the record saying
no way you can
say to them, why
why
is it that we got to pay for these police shootings when something happens?
Nickolas, I'm with you on that. But when you say the majority of Republicans would agree with the term of the statement defund the police, if you told a room of 12 Republicans defund the police, I guarantee you about 11 or 12 of them will walk the hell out the room.
and that's the thing is you're pointing them out for what they truly are. And it's all wordplay and politics.
Brother Scott Smith, he said that they want to increase funding the police 1,000%. You damn right they want to increase funding the police. Because Republicans have always been tough on law and order. Am I right or am I right?
No. The Republicans since
since when? Since Nixon?
Since Reagan has been.
Nixon? No, since Nixon. Nixon was a law and order president.
You're
Nixon,
right.
And how long ago was that?
It was law and order.
Nixon was law and order president. And they're trying to keep it that way.
But before that, the party that did not want any type of authority oppressing them in any way, shape, or form. That's what I'm saying. Donald Trump and loyalism and party tribalism has done to our mindset. Is made us think that we need more government. And those people are called statists. And if you are a supporter of liberty and freedom and being able, whether it's economic freedom, which is what conservatives claim to support, and that's why I said you can hit them on that level with the wordplay. If you're really a conservative, then you want to make sure that when these cops kill somebody, that the money that they're paying for that law settlement is coming out of their pocket and not the taxpayers. And now you're able to level with them. And that's what I'm saying is if we can get the Republican Party remembering that, hey, you're the fiscally conservative party. You're not the party that wastes money and them spending their money, our tax dollars, on militarizing the police, making sure that they're getting paid 100-fold for sitting on their asses, a lot of them. Here in the state of California, we have the minimum payment for a law enforcement officer is 6 figures. And the majority of them, again, are sitting behind the desk. Not all of them are out there on the street putting their lives on the line. And if that be the case, then those officers need to be well compensated. But they also need to be held accountable for their actions. And that's where qualified immunity comes into play. You remove that, you put on them a mandate saying that you also need to have your own liability insurance. That way, if you beat someone or you physically assault them or you use your service weapon and you kill them, that payment for that lawsuit settlement isn't coming out of your pocket. I shit you not. You're going to see a severe drop in police-involved shootings in the state of California immediately, because they're going to think twice about that, especially when they know that your insurance goes where your job goes. So the next job that you go, even if you get transferred, we're going to stop all that shit too under Governor Wildstar. But if you get transferred, now that insurance policy comes, you got to get a new insurance policy just to work for that employer. And they're not going to be able, you're not going to be able to get insured because no insurance carrier is going to want that liability. $1 million, $100 million, $10 million payouts, they're not going to want to keep doing that. forget about it. So we're going to end that. And that's how we can improve the accountability of our law enforcement personnel, as well as, again, get Republicans behind supporting that idea, because now we're making sure that our community is safer, which is another thing we want to do as conservatives, is conserve life.
All right, Mr. Republican now. Okay, because you sound like a Republican. And I love it too. I love it, black man. You know, I love it. You look good as a Republican. You look amazing.
Thank you very much. I'm doing my best to wear it well.
Let me tell you something, because you want to deflect and say all that shit, which I agree. You didn't say nothing wrong, but you still deflected. Still deflected. Because listen, hold on, son. If you put 12 Republicans in a room and you say, hey, defund the fucking police, I guarantee you 11 or 12 of those Republicans will walk out the room. They'll storm out that mother. Because they're
going to have to hold a forum and find out.
They love, no, am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're right. And that's what I said, is you're calling them out for what they are. If they do leave, you're a neocon. You're a neoconservative.
But we have to understand we live in a society that is very pro-law enforcement, because a lot of these businesses are protected by law enforcement. A lot of these institutions are protected by law enforcement. A lot of these people send them Christmas cards and thank you cards, and because they want them to support their business and be on time if something happens there to their businesses. A lot of people live in the middle class. You know, they're not going to call the Crips or the Bloods to help them out. They're going to call 911. So we have to understand the world that we live in. This is a police state, police, and the black population is less than 20% of the population. Okay, and you got to understand, most of our population are either on welfare or in prison or products of generational curses that started from Jim Crow and segregation. There's so many institutional racism, implicit bias that affects us more than anybody and anything. We just got to go through hell, you know. And I hear everything you're saying, brother. I do hear everything you saying as a black man. I hear you. I validate it. I appreciate it. Yada, yada, yada. But to say that if you were to, most Republicans will agree with defund the police, that's bullshit. I have to call bullshit on that. I have to call bullshit on that. And as a libertarian, and as your brother, as a man who loves you, no matter what you say to these people, because I've tried it, Nickolas, you hear me? I've tried telling them exactly what you're telling me. They just don't. You see, they want to increase the funding of the police. They don't want to. When they hear D, like de-escalate, you should de-escalate that situation. They hear, oh no. Maybe they shouldn't have escalated to the point where they should have had to de-escalate.
Wordplay, right? So
when they you know, and Nick, I hope you get elected too, because we need more people like Nickolas Wildstar in office. People that are free thinkers, people that are intellectually independent, people that are going to thinking about the interests of the people and not just themselves. We need people like Brother Nickolas Wildstar in office. So, you know, he'll always have my support as a black man. And as a brother, you know, I will never tear him down. But it's our job as brothers to hold each other accountable when things are said that do not represent the entire independent thought, you know. What we're doing here with I Am SAC Foundation is we are trying to broadcast different free thinkers, so that way people can come up with their own solutions on what kind of parties they would like to be in, what kind of changes they would like to see implemented in their community. What is the step of moving forward? Because the year of 2021 is the year of the open door. And I want you to receive it, and I pronounce it, announce it, decree and declare it. And all those who receive it shall take that. But we cannot walk through our open door if we keep those same fucked up backdoor motherfucking thoughts in our head. Like if you say defund the police in a room full of Republicans, they're going to be okay with it. No, they're not going to be okay with it. No, that's false. They're not.
Let me ask you this: any white person that's
any white person is different, because I know some any white person is different. I know some white
Any white Republican walks up and says
they white and poor and they relate to us. So, you know, when you say white people, that's a broad statement.
Listen to me. If you get a white Republican candidate that walks up on the scene and says, defund the police, they're going to hear him out. Why is he saying that? So my goal is when I step on the scene, I don't want them to see a black man saying defund the police. I want them to hear a taxpayer, a working class citizen, a hardworking man trying to support his family that has dealt with it firsthand. Okay, number one, I can tell them that I've dealt with the system firsthand. It doesn't work like a smooth, well-oiled machine. Number one, you got a lot of innocent people in there being prosecuted and being our taxes being wastefully spent on prosecuting them. Why? You know, another thing, we're paying for this. So if they're abusing our money as taxpayers, then we should want to make sure that our money is being spent well, not only by politicians and state officials or elected representatives, but our law enforcement as well. So they fall in that category.
Somebody said they're going to crucify you on the debates. How do you feel about that?
Not at all, because it's all about strategy.
They will boo you, Wildstar, if you mention it. They don't care. How do you feel about that?
They can boo me all they want. I'm going to win over my audience, and the people that's going to love hear what I'm saying, they're going to vote for me, and that's all that matters. And when it comes down to strategy, in order for a Republican to win in the state of California, you better be saying all of what I'm saying right now, or you're not going to win against a Democrat, period.
My goodness, they can boo me all they want. I know, look, so you've accepted the fact you're not going to be a favorite in the Republican Party.
No, not at all. If anything, I'm the underdog. I'm the long shot. Even still, I'm the long shot on a larger platform like the Republican Party because they're not going to bet on.
As you embark on your Republican journey, you are going to still be saying defund the police?
Absolutely. I've been saying it. I said it in an interview where I was spoken to by this right wing, I guess. What is it? Publication.
Where does your loyalty stand with the Republican Party? Some will say you're not loyal. Look how you left the Libertarian Party. So how will you answer that? Where does your loyalty stand?
My loyalty stands on the principle. Like I said, if the Republican Party is the party of liberty, and if every political party supports that idea, and the Republican Party is supposed to be a representative of that, then that's the founding principle that we should be promoting and supporting. And the libertarians definitely have always been reflective of that.
What's the difference? What's the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans?
Well, when it comes to, again, personal liberties, they're restricted by the Democratic Party. I want to be able to have economic liberty, where I want to know where my taxes go. I want to choose how they're being spent, which programs, etc. Right now, we have a Democratic majority in the state of California. They don't care what say we have in it. They mandated AB 5. They mandated for every employer to provide health insurance for all of their employees. So you subjectively cannot work as an independent contractor in the state of California. So this actually kills off all of those people that are entrepreneurial minded, and want to work for themselves, like electricians, like plumbers, like truckers, nannies, teachers, all types of people that want to work for themselves. And if this is the American dream, then they should be allowed to work for whatever benefits that they want in life, including health insurance. And that's really what we're talking about when we talk about health care for all. We're talking about
4 more years. So 4 more years of Trump or 8 years of Biden and Kamala?
Damn, that's a good question.
That's a good one, right?
Yeah. I mean, because I want to get Biden out as soon as possible. I mean, we need to have a better competitor other than Trump, and apparently nobody's stepping up yet on the Republican Party. So if we need to, rebrand their identity as a libertarian Republican, that's what I plan on doing, is by reinventing the Republican Party to have them be more reflective of being a party that promotes individual liberties, whether it be, spiritual, economical, or civil.
Okay, I got a question. What is your thing with Gavin Newsom? Why do you guys hate Gavin so much? Like, well, why the pictures of him? Why the pictures of him on Hitler? Why the recall campaign? Why the protests every weekend in front of the Capitol? What is up with you guys and Gavin? Can we speak on that, please?
Absolutely. He's being dictatorial, number one. I mean, we've already discussed that.
Okay, when you say he's being a dictator, okay. Whoa. Now that is a reach beyond the reach.
Well, let me break
How is he being a dictator? How is Gavin Newsom being a dictator? And you guys be saying this, y'all been promoting this, y'all been, and I'm trying is a lot of the Republican Party.
No, see, and that's a misconception of the people that are out there. That's not. You break it up.
A lot of the forgotten people are Republicans. Let's not act like these are a lot of Democrats.
Well, also, like I said, you got a lot of people signing on the recall that are Democrats as well. That AB 5.
You might have that. But what's the thing with Newsom? Okay. Why is Newsom a dictator?
Well, why is he able to have a winery? His winery, Plum Jack Winery, has been open this entire time throughout this pandemic. Meanwhile, he's shutting down other businesses. Make him a dictator? Let me continue. He's also having dinner indoors in restaurants, not wearing a mask.
Does that make him a dictator?
When you're shutting down other restaurants for doing the same thing or fining people that choose to do that themselves, yes, it is very dictatorial, and it's hypocritical as well. And it is unfit for anybody that wants to call themselves a leader. To be a leader, you have to lead by example. So if this pandemic, if this virus is really as serious as it is, then he shouldn't be out there.
But a dictator is someone that only controls by force, Governor Wildstar.
A dictator is also somebody that says, do as I say and not as I do. And it is by force.
That may be a hypocrite, but a dictator is only someone who says, you know what, go and do this. If you do not, I will kill you.
There was a house
dictator.
Party in Compton, okay? The cops came in and busted him up, arrested like 67 people or something like that. I don't know. But again, why are you doing that? This has happened multiple times in Los Angeles County, and Garcetti is another dictator as well, because he's out there with the same type of lackadaisical attitude as Gavin Newsom has had. Newsom's kids are still in school. Our kids can't go to school because the schools are shut down. Yet taxpayers are paying for this public service, which is our educational system, and we aren't able to utilize the service. Are we going to get a tax rebate, a kickback from all of the money they're collecting? Hell no. But his winery, it got a taxpayer-backed loan, a PPP loan. You can look it up. Millions of dollars, $3 million, I believe, plus our tax money.
I think if you've asked people who were in the Holocaust days or segregation days or slavery days, they will have a complete different meaning of the word dictator.
Well, it depends on what your idea of
even if you ask the people of North Korea, throwing the word dictator out there for the governor Gavin Newsom because he eats in his own winery.
Well, we call Saddam Hussein a dictator too, but
Saddam Hussein is completely different. He literally murdered people and shot them in the middle of the street.
That is not true. If you ask the Iraqi people, they will tell you that's not true. And actually, they are on record saying
You're saying Saddam Hussein never murdered anybody in the street.
I'm not saying that he never did, but neither our presidents have too. just because they haven't did it themselves in cold blood.
Gavin Newsom, Wildstar. I just don't feel like you're very.
Is that what it takes, though? Is that what it takes? Is for them to go out?
We should be throwing the word dictator out like that.
If you create the conditions for people to lose their lives, then you are to blame. And that's right now, that is exactly what Gavin Newsom is doing by putting people in the position to where they can't work to feed themselves. They can't work to house themselves. They can't work to take care of their kids.
But we talk about Saddam Hussein. When we talk about Saddam Hussein is a completely different country, just like Muammar al-Gaddafi. Maybe we lost interest by going
another person that we killed and said he was a dictator, and the people there loved him.
But you're saying, when you say Gavin Newsom is so far from Muammar al-Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein.
I'm saying people's idea of what they think a dictator is. The people in those places.
The word dictator. It's like totalitarian.
But we gotta look at our.
Gavin Newsom a totalitarian?
He is, definitely. He's a totalitarian by throwing around his weight as an aristocrat, basically saying, I have the authority to be this elitist and wield my power over everybody else, and they have to obey when we don't want to. We should have the choice on if we want to go out and meet with family friends. We should have the choice on if we want to go to church without being fined for it. That's the first part. Is they're going around threatening people, saying either you're going to be fined or jailed.
So Gavin Newsom is a dictator and a totalitarian.
Indeed. And we need to start looking at his actions as such.
All right. Okay. I want to move on to the next question. And because you're comparing Newsom to Hitler and I mean,
you said you people and you threw me in with the Republicans.
Saddam Hussein, Muammar Gaddafi. You're saying Newsom is a dictator and a totalitarian.
I brought him up as an example.
No, but you're saying that's what he is. I asked you. You said yes. He's a dictator and a totalitarian. You said that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So don't try to say that. I'm. Nigga, you said, nigga, hold on now.
I'm just saying, if you go speak for me, don't.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. If Newsom is Hitler, if Newsom is Gaddafi, if Newsom is Saddam Hussein, what is Trump?
Another totalitarian. He's another one of them. What?
Okay, so with that being said,
he falls in the same category. As much as he wants to talk about he's against the deep state, he's another proponent of them. If it all boils down to our money, what really keeps us all connected?
Did you vote for Joe or did you vote for Trump?
I voted for what's her name? Jo Jorgensen.
You voted for Biden?
No, man. No Biden, no Trump. I voted for Jo Jorgensen.
Fuck yourself out.
Not at all.
He said I voted for Biden, Trump. I mean, Joe.
Well, you said Joe, and I thought of Biden, and no, I did not vote for Biden. I voted for Jorgensen.
Okay, so Heidi wants to know, can you describe how Trump is the fastest?
Well, by promoting divisiveness, by targeting certain ethnic groups, whether it be Native Americans, by calling Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas, or Hispanic people by saying they're all murderous thieves, and and he's talking about people that are coming to our country that want to pursue a better life. And America is the land for everyone. It is the land of liberty. We shouldn't be dictating who should be coming here or not. And if you look at the roots of the immigration laws in our country, they're all racist. So if we want to alleviate the racist qualities of our systems, of our government system, educational system, judicial system, we have to remove the racist elements that made it what it is, and it discriminates against certain people. And if we can alleviate that, we'd be much happier as a society. So when it comes to him and his rhetoric, him getting up there as a political figure, he's not speaking in a way to where, as a leader, you would unify.
Heidi wants to know, how do you equate Trump's dictator-like qualities with Newsom's?
Oh, that's a very good one. Again, flaunting around his authority by saying, "I'm going
around his authority is."
Yeah, when you're using your power as an elected official to impose your will upon free people, that's what makes you a dictator. That's what Newsom is doing. That's what Trump has done as president. And we continue to be, subjects to that. And we shouldn't have to continue to suffer because of their bad decisions and because of them wielding the authority that we, the people, give them. If all we have to do is oppose them at any point, and now that takes away any power that they ever thought that they had, no matter how many people with guns they have surrounding them. And that's what the law enforcement is. Law enforcement, they don't protect you, we the people. They obey the law. And the law is what these lawmakers says it is. And if they say the law is XYZ, the police officer isn't going to care about what that is, because they're like you and I. They want to earn a paycheck. And they're going to go out there and do as they have been doing by obeying orders. And where have we heard that before in history? Before it went on a slippery slope. And people ask about, why did the Germans allow Hitler to get in power? This is where we are. You know what I'm saying? Y'all want to wait until they get in the streets, start shooting, killing people, which they have been doing with these protests. They're masking attacks against people exercising their constitutional protected rights by abusing their authority. And we shouldn't be allowing it anymore. We have to rise up and rebel against this system in one way or another. And if we want to do it peacefully and civilly, it's through our electoral process.
Nickolas, you were a libertarian.
Yes, sir. Libertarian Republican.
You are now a Republican.
Yep.
If you leave the Republican Party, will you go Democrat?
I'm not a Republican Party member. I am a registered Republican. I need to be in order to run as a Republican. The Republican Party itself won't embrace me. If I get any supporters of the Republican Party that are members of it, it'll be on an individual level to where I'm winning them over versus the hierarchy, the ones in charge of it, the chairperson and the donors, the $1 million donors to the Republican Party. Most likely they're going to fund it into another establishment candidate, which is fine by me. Like I said, I'm out there to win over the Republican base, the Libertarian base, the Democratic base, the no party preference, the independent base, the people that are sick and fed up with government base. That's who I'm out there to work over or work to win over as a candidate. What you knowing that?
Because, bruh,
I can still see you. You know that, right?
You can see me, but I'm like, you got a Stevie Wonder going on right now.
It can happen. And like I said, it's a strategy thing.
But it's like, Wildstar, I love you, okay? And I ain't gonna tell you shit I don't believe, okay? I'm gonna be straight up real 100 all the way with you, okay? And I'm going to tell you when your ass is wrong, okay? Because I love you. And going to these Republicans, you listen to me clearly, young man. You listen to me very clearly because you're a young man still. I know you just had a baby and all. You think you're getting grown, but you're still a young man. Let me tell you something, young man. That going to them Republicans is a mistake.
Have you seen my videos where I'm talking?
Hold on. I remember quoting myself one time. I said, this is when I was in my days. You remember I was in my days. He was there. I said, I'd rather you vote cricket Republican than a decent Democrat. You remember me saying that? Remember I said that?
Yeah.
You remember I told everybody that.
I hope you still feel that way.
I said, you know what? I don't care how you vote because I'm a libertarian. We don't win anyway. So how you vote, I want to let you know if I would have to choose, I would choose that. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I have seen this country up and down, from DC to New York to Kenosha, Wisconsin, Chicago, Illinois, all up and down the great state of California. I've seen it all. And let me tell you something. These Democrats and these Republicans, and not only have they both failed equally, but they're both in bed together as they fail us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
how do you break that system?
Now, if you're saying the way you break the system is by infiltrating that system.
Exactly.
Now, that is more easier said than done.
You're absolutely right. But I'm going to do it to see
Kanye West.
What we could do.
Kanye West.
No, Kanye West was a red hat Republican. He's a signal of that rhetoric.
Let me get mine out, Mr. Republican. Because y'all don't become Republicans, then you get spoiled. Then you just run shit. Motherfuckers become Republicans. Nah. Okay. Well, what I'm trying to tell you, Mr. Republican, is that these people are, if they were to come out of prison, we would call them institutionalized. You hear me? These Republicans you dealing with, I'm not going to say they brainwashed. I'm not going to say they institutionalized. I'm just going to say they are stuck and conditioned in that mentality that they don't want to move forward. You know, when we say progress, we're not saying we're progressives. We're saying moving forward, moving on from the past. You know, I always say Obama got Trump elected. And Trump got Biden elected. You know, what I'm saying is that these people do not represent our fights, our rights, and our causes. Not only because we come from the different sides of the tracks and we're not in the same tax bracket, so on and so forth. They don't want to represent our fights and our rights and our causes because it doesn't benefit them. Mm-hmm. They are not coming out as the beneficiaries. You understand? So when you say you're a Republican and you're a black man out here. Oh, Shawnee's calling me. Hold on real quick. Hello? Hey, girl, how you doing? Good, just chilling here on a live podcast right now. My buddy Nickolas, he's a Republican. What are you doing right now? Oh, Fred, what you got going this evening? Come on by. All right, I'll see you when you get here. All right. Bye. Okay.
It's all good. We're about to wrap up anyway.
We're gonna wrap up. Now look. Shout out to Shiny, great worker, great volunteer for the people. Anyways, what I want to say is you're full of shit, number one. I love you, number two. You my brother, number three. And the Republican Party is gonna run off of your black ass.
Like I said, the Republican Party can do what they want. The Republican voters that I'm supposed to do. No,
Wildstar. You already know how this shit go.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how this shit go.
I said I'm not fucking with the party.
Somebody said Wildstar, convert back and ask for forgiveness.
Not ever. Shit, I like to move forward. That's what I can do.
He said Wildstar, convert back and ask for forgiveness or waste your time. That's on you.
Well, we'll see what happens. Like I said, a libertarian in the state of California, you'd have to either be extremely well funded in order for you to win an election, or a celebrity. That's the only thing that's going to pay people's attention and sway them to actually get away from thinking dualistically, where I must vote for a Republican or a Democrat. That's just the way it is. No matter how good of a candidate that you are, people are going to ignore you unless you can get the media, because that's what turns people's attention to who's running for office.
Do you think you can get the media? You think you can get the media?
Running as a Republican and a black man, like you said, all of that. And what I'm doing is definitely against the grain, and if I can win over enough supporters
white people accept you. You think white people will accept
you? Get competitive, because that's what turns the media's head. Money.
Do you think white people will accept you?
Yes, they've already have. I mean, not all of my supporters is black, man. Come on. I mean, black people, number one, not even involved with politics like that, because we don't think the shit works for us. So if anything, I'm out there trying to inspire them even more so to get involved with politics as well. But you don't like hearing the truth?
Shit. Okay. You got Wildstar is so full of shit, you guys. Hey, that's my brother too, and I know him. That's why I'm saying that. You know what I mean? Because I know this man. And the reason I love him though is because he's gonna be him, regardless of what I say, what y'all say in these comments, what anybody say.
Keep it real, 100 always.
I'll keep it real, and we love you, Wildstar. We love you, man, and I'm grateful to have you as a friend, man. Somebody I can call to if I ever need some advice or something. You always, as TJ Sheldon said, he's real and raw. Definitely raw, and that's why I always have you as a guest on this conversation, Mr. Clark, because we don't agree all the time. I think you're stupid as hell for becoming a Republican. I think you stick to where you brought me to the Libertarian Party. You brought me to the Libertarian Party.
I'm glad you are.
You look, I'm true story, everybody. I was not involved with these crooked ass Republicans or Democrats. Wildstar came to me. He said, there's a such thing as a Libertarian Party, but they don't win. But I tell you, let's win. And I said, man, I gotta look into these libertarians. And the Libertarian Party, he broke it down to me. He said, Mr. Clark, libertarian just means more freedom, less government.
Period.
Damn, I see every nigga in America is a libertarian. We don't want the government in our head. We want liberty. We want to be able to own guns and shit. Right. And to hear you leaving this Libertarian Party that you introduced me to, when I first heard it, it broke my heart. And then when you told me a second time, I understood it, because of the way we lose and we don't have funding, and our people who are in this Libertarian Party are making us look like a fucking joke as a party. These guys on TikTok and shit, you know what I mean? Fucking clowns.
They got the wrong spokesman,
Clowns, you know what I mean? And it embarrasses our party. So when you left, and I understood that for the second time with the Republican Party, I understood it a little bit. It's a mature party. The Libertarians are like high school, and the Republican Party is like college.
Right.
Honestly, it's like where the adult Libertarians go. Ron Paul, for example, one of our leaders when it comes to this political movement, elders. Let me say, you as a Republican, it feels like a betrayal. It feels like it feels like a money move. It feels like disloyalty to the Libertarian Party who created you as a brand.
No,
it was. That's what it feels like. I didn't know you as a Republican. I knew you as a Libertarian. So the brand of Nickolas Wildstar came to me as liberty, those yellow liberty hats and shit.
Right. And that's the same candidate. That's the same thing I'm introducing as a Republican.
But you're not the same candidate because you're a Republican. So you're not the same candidate. That is false.
That's the thing, is people relate that to the
no,
Republican. I'm not.
I know, but you're lying.
I'm not a Donald Trump Republican. That's true.
But you're still a Republican. Donald Trump or not.
I'm running as a Republican candidate. Yeah.
You're a Republican.
Yeah. That's Libertarian Republican.
It doesn't matter. You're still just like I said, civil libertarian, and y'all said
it's like this. Bernie Sanders ran as a Democratic.
We're not talking about Bernie.
A Democratic.
We're talking about Wildstar.
I'm making to you, man.
Talking about Bernie. We talking about you, Nick. You.
AOC, you ran as a Democratic Socialist. You got a whole lot of Democrats rebranding themselves as Democratic Socialists. They are winning. And when it comes to the Republican Party, if you want to start winning California, you got to do something different. I'm the something different. As a libertarian Republican, I will be able to bridge that gap between those Democrats that are sick of the duopoly and the same as those Republicans.
Right, he made it up. He made it up. Yeah, I agree with you, brother. You're right.
No, Ron Paul is a libertarian Republican. He ran as a Republican candidate, but he was a member of the Libertarian Party. You know what I'm saying? But when he ran as a Republican, more people got to hear his message. That's how I even stumbled upon hearing about him, was when he actually was running as a Republican. So I'm hoping the same thing for me. More people can hear the message of liberty with me running as a Republican versus before when I ran as a Libertarian, where I got completely ignored by the media.
I'm glad you cleared that up, and you're trying to infiltrate the system so you can try to change the party. Do you think it'd be a lot more easy if you just started your own party?
Not at all. The amount of money it's going to take. This is the thing: is politics is ran by money. If you want to deny that, then you're in denial. Period. Because
denial is not a river in Egypt.
Tell me about it. And a lot of people, they think you could get money out of politics, but it's like, unless you're banking on whoever is running for office, big banks are, big pharma is, big unions are.
How many times have you ran for office?
This will be my 4th time. I ran for.
How many times have you lost?
Actually, pardon me. No, this would be my 5th time.
And how many times have you lost?
Of course, it would be the 4 previously, or else I'd be an elected official. I mean, but just because I've lost before, it doesn't mean I should stop.
You ran. Let me finish. You ran every time as a Libertarian, correct?
No, the only time I ran as a Libertarian was when I ran for governor of California. When I ran for Fullerton City Council and as mayor, those are nonpartisan races.
Okay. So you only ran Libertarian once, and then everything else was nonpartisan?
Correct.
Yeah.
Even my first run for governor in 2014, I was a independent candidate, didn't get any money to get on the ballot, so I ran as a write-in candidate, and I didn't get the support that I needed. And I was hoping that would change when I got involved with the Libertarian Party.
TJ says we're a socialist nation. Do you agree?
Yes, right now we're a smart socialist country. You got Donald Trump out there supposed to be a Republican and a conservative, giving out $1,000 checks.
Scott Schmidt says AOC is more libertarian than most Republicans. Do you agree?
No. When it comes to fiscal conservatism, she drops the ball completely.
He says Wildstar, you are the Republican Jamar Jefferson. Do you know?
I don't know who that is.
Oh my goodness!
But hopefully, it's a compliment.
Yeah, these guys are something else. Yeah, it's this is crazy. I appreciate you for joining me. We've been here for an hour. It's been great.
See, there we go. That's a good.
You like that one? You like that?
Yeah, he said he thinks for himself, too much to fit their mold. I think he has a shot, though, if he can tailor his rhetoric well enough. He has to choose carefully what to be outspoken about. And I think that's where I'll be able to also speak up more as a libertarian.
Read that one right there. Read the one right there. You see that one?
Pioneering spirit. Don't think it will work, but dig his moxie to be himself. Thank you, Heidi. Exactly. Hey, and if you vote for me, that's one vote closer that I get to actually succeeding this time around. A nobody Republican is no different with top 2 unless you want to win in a redneck area. Well, that's the thing, is look at the Republicans that are running in the state of California. They pretty much have no chance at winning, but you give me enough money to tour the state, not only with the reputation I built from my previous runs for office, and I'll be able to get them supporting me, I think I'll be able to get a lot more publicity over the next few months, especially if this recall is successful and if I get the amount of money needed for me to get on the ballot. Once I'm on the ballot, it's a wrap. It's any man's game at that point. And I pound the pavement hard, and my ground game is very good. So if I can start covering enough ground now, as I have, to collect signatures for the recall, if it's successful in March, I'll be on the ballot to recall Newsom, get him out of office, and get me on the ballot and get me elected. So we'll see what happens. And I'm not in the cult. Again, Democrats are cultish too in their mindset. I've said so many things to convince people of why they should not be supportive of Gavin Newsom just in his role as governor. You can love who he is, his personality, and his hair, or whatever the case may be.
His hair.
Straight up, I've heard all sorts of things. People tell me, well, he's too handsome, and that's why I support him. Are you kidding me? That's the only reason. And I tell them about people losing their jobs. They don't care. I tell them about, convicts being released on the streets and, raising havoc. They don't care. I tell them about, him being dictatorial, again, by saying, do as I say, not as I do. They don't care. It's not enough. So you have cultish mentality, cultish mentally disabled people on the left, as well as you do on the right. And it's really the extreme right and the extreme left that are so far in their extremism that they're not willing to hear compromise ideas and intelligent ones. That's where I come on the scene, because if I can introduce these ideas in a way to where they both agree, now I just won over the voter. And I've seen this happen time and time again with me being out there talking to hundreds of people, getting signatures to recall Gavin Newsom. And before this, when I was running for office as a libertarian. So I'm going to take that same platform as a libertarian, repackage it for the Republican Party, and rebrand the party and the state itself if we can get someone like me elected. I only vote for the hottest candidates.
Amen, brother.
Hopefully I fall on that list. Thank you so much, TJ. Amen to you. But I think I said enough. But really, it boils down to strategy. Like I said, if a Republican ever wants to win the state of California, you're going to have to meet the people on the left, the liberals, the Democrats, halfway on the issues and their demands. And instead of free health care, I'm offering free electricity. Instead of free education, free electricity.
You're offering free electricity?
What's that?
You're offering free electricity?
Yes, sir. Through my Gold New Deal, we're going to have a state-owned utility that's going to offer free electricity to all of the state residents, as well as water. And
that right there, goddamn, you got my vote. 30.
You live in California, you never have to pay an electric bill again. If you're a large corporation, you're using more energy, you can pay us, we the people, and we the people will reap the benefits. So when you talk about a UBI, now there's a way for us to actually get a basic income for the recipients and people of California without it coming out of taxpayers' pockets.
Google should pay everybody's light bills. Talk about socialism. Scott should talk about socialism. That's definitely socialism. But hey, look, I like that idea though, Scott. I'm sorry. I don't like electricity.
That's called capitalism 101. Look up my Gold New Deal on my website. Like I said, we will be the benefactors of it instead of the corporations.
You're nationalizing utilities. Scott said you're nationalizing utilities.
No, I'm localizing utilities because each city will be able to do what they want, but the state is going to have a state funded by the taxpayers, because if we want it, we're going to fund it. And once it's done and paid for, we will never have to pay another electric bill again. Right here, she's saying enough people hate PG&E. Exactly. It's going to work. We can't get rid of PG&E in SoCal.
Nick, wait a minute. Nigga, you still a nigga. So let's not act like, you hear me? Let's not these people talking because you still a nigga. We out here fighting the system. Mm-hmm. We are fighting police brutality, community violence, redlining.
We can fix all that.
Everything. Our fight is not respected because they're not in these shoes. You hear me?
Absolutely.
They say being a black woman, Malcolm X said the most disrespected person in America is the black woman. I believe the most disrespected person, the most villainized person in America is the black man. You see?
Okay.
This is my opinion. I believe that because of that, the most villainized, your opinion is less validated than the average American. Now, I wouldn't just say the average American, I would say the average immigrant. Systematic racism, yes. Our culture is being stripped, our language being stripped. You being the black man looking like you trying to cozy up with the Republican Party can be looked as, I don't want to say the next word, you know what I'm going to say.
What?
Uncle, you know who?
Oh, no. See, that's the thing.
And
when you talk about strategy.
Hold on. So when you see brothers like you, they want to compare to Ben Carson's, Herman Cain.
Yeah, but what did they do?
They want to say, is he Barack Obama-esque?
But you know what I mean? Did they do? They sold out.
They don't do shit. But
exactly, and they can do shit.
It ruins the fight for guys like you.
Exactly.
You hear me?
However, you are coming
into a Republican Party who does not, in a majority, represent the fights and rights and the causes of our people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you're trying to infiltrate a party which don't even want to listen to your black ass to begin with.
I know. That's why I said when it comes to police reform, I let them know. Don't hear what I'm saying as a black man saying this. Hear me as a hardworking, tax-paying father, and man, husband here in this state.
You think they gonna hear that? You think they gonna hear that? You think they give a damn about you being
I have enough. Like I said, when it comes to strategy,
a dignitary, someone who does outstanding for the community, someone who's been there and gave out food and face masks, and someone who did the recall on Gavin. No, they don't give a damn about what the fuck you've been doing. About your community activism. They don't give a damn about how many face masks they don't give a damn about your toy drives. You want to know how I know? Because shit, I'm a living example.
You're right.
They don't give a damn about what you've done because their only intention was to criminalize you as a black man.
And that's why we need a revolution. We need a revolution.
No, the revolution will not be televised, and you'll be lucky if it's on social media. And knowing us on how our social media work, they're gonna ban that shit. Okay.
Yeah. Before we get a chance,
you won't even get
this video.
Your revolution gonna be word of mouth if you lucky, nigga. Okay. If you lucky, okay. Because that's the way we've been so divided in this new America.
Yeah.
It's a different time, Brother Wildstar. And
that's what I'm saying. We gotta infiltrate.
I want to support you. I support you. I love you. I think you're going against the enemy. I think you signed up for something. You don't know what the hell you getting yourself into. I think Scott Schmidt is right about one thing because he wasn't right about shit. But if he was right about one thing, he was right about you coming back to the Libertarian Party and begging for forgiveness.
Nah, I think after this,
in this Republican, I said it. You remember me saying this even in my crazy days. I said, if you join the Republican Party, you're getting fucked in the face.
If
I said, you remember that? And I said, if you join the
with
Democratic
the party, I don't plan on it.
And I said, if you get if you go to the Democratic Party, what did I say?
I don't recall, but remind me.
I'm not going to remind you. You should.
Probably something as explicit as joining the Republican Party. But
you know exactly what I said, but you want to play holy. But it's okay. That's why you won't win. You know, and I love you, and I got your back. I'm gonna vote for you regardless. So don't matter.
All right, there we go. Thank you. See, one helps.
It's against brothers like you because you're doing what's right. You're a noble man. You're real. You're raw. You're authentic, unapologetic, and that's the problem. You joined a party that does not appreciate that, brother, and you don't understand it now. But one day you can look back at this podcast and say, "Hey, Stevante was right. Stevante knew what he was talking about. He told me not to leave the Libertarian Party. He told me not to change up on my people. He told me to remain loyal. He told me not to betray my people. He told me not to pull a Judas, and you did anyway."
I'm loyal to the principle. I'm not loyal to any party.
Hold on now. Hold on. Let me get my final thought out. Mr. Republican. You know, you're going to remember that I told you. And I hate to be the one to say I told you so. But damn it, I told you so. And I love you. And I'm here for you, like I said. But the Republican Party has failed the last 4 years by not calling out Trump every chance they have gotten. The Republican Party continues to fail by hyping up this goddamn January 6th and overturning this election. The Republican Party has failed when it comes to the rights, fights, and causes of the people, standing up on the side of justice when it comes to George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Stevante Clark, so on and so forth. At least the Democrats, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, but at least they acknowledge the name of Stevante Clark. Your party has not. The Republican Party has failed at even acknowledging those who've lost to police brutality. The Republican Party is not and does not represent the fights and the rights and the causes of the underrepresented, underfunded, and at-risk communities. That has been shown and proven time after time again since the war on drugs. Now, I'm loving you, Nick. I'm with you. I'm with you. You know, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. And I will remain with you, with you, with you, with you, with you. But the Republican Party has failed. You leaving the Libertarian Party and going to the Republican Party, it saddens my heart. But I understand why you did it. I understand why. And that's why I'm not going to bash on you and all that. I'm going to bash the Republican Party, the Republicans, of course. I'm not going to get on you because I understand why you would want to join a winning team. You can only lose for so long. You can only be on a team of morals. There's no politics in morals. People don't really understand that. And in politics, there are no morals, you guys. People will sell their own mama, okay, for a motherfucking vote. You'll be surprised what people will do for votes and power and profit. You'll be surprised. Nickolas, I appreciate you as a black man again. At the same time, the Republican Party has failed. I believe that the Democratic Party has failed as well. The Libertarian Party, of course, has failed miserably. Ever since Aleppo. Hello. You know, but I think moving forward, we could all learn from your journey. What your future is, I don't know in the Republican Party. And I'm eager to find out, and I'm happy to be along this ride. I want to see how you're treated by the Republican Party. I want to see how you're embraced by the Republican Party. I want to see if your voice matters to the Republican Party. Do I have my doubts? Of course I do. But I want to see. I want to see if you being optimistic as you are, if that optimism is received on the other end of the field, the receiving side of the field. I want to see if you're more as optimistic as them or if they're as optimistic as you. You know, I hope to see this. You know, I just really don't think that your defund the police will go too popular with the people that they're not ready. The Republican Party is just not ready. So I agree that infiltrating is the best way to do things, but they're not ready. They are just not ready. Good luck with what you're doing, Nickolas. And I wish you the best on everything going. You know, we're gonna have these conversations going more on and more forth. But I want you to really think about, you know, the next. You know, I remember saying I'd rather you vote crooked Republican than decent Democrat. I've said that numerous times, and I've been to Republican rallies, I've been to Democratic rallies, I've been to Libertarian rallies, and the thing about I've seen on all sides is you can't really choose a side anymore. Choosing a side leaves you empty. You have to be your own person. And it's coming to a time where we're starting to vote people in that party.
Right.
Those days are coming back. And we need everybody watching right now. Don't vote Democrat or Republican or Libertarian. Vote people who you know is going to really represent your fights, your rights, and your causes. If they're not going to represent you, why the hell would you vote for them? Nickolas is doing a noble thing. He's trying to infiltrate a system and change it for the better. Like I said, do I think he'll be successful at it? But if he could change one mind, that's good enough. If Nickolas could change just one mind, isn't that good enough? Isn't that good enough if he could get one person to think, you know what? When he says defund the police, he's not talking about taking all the money from the police. He's talking about reallocating the resources to something that actually works. When he says defund the police, he's saying, no, not defund the police, but let's be anti-police militarization. Let's be anti-police brutality. We have to keep in mind that the language might sound a little bit controversial, but let's look at exactly what he's saying when he says these things. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party has failed miserably. Nickolas Wildstar, I want to thank you for joining in this conversation with Mr. Clark. And I want to also say that we have a SAC 6 program for anybody that wants to get involved. And number one is bridge the gap between law enforcement and at-risk communities. But before we do that, we must bridge the gap between community and community. Number two is inform and educate on policy and legislative change. We believe policy and legislative change is legacy on paper. Number three is provide resources and healing spaces for those in need in our community. We believe give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. But if you teach a man a fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. We believe in commemorating the life and legacy of Stevante Clark so that his name may live in a positive life for generations and generations, long after you and I have left the earth. We believe in receiving recommendations from you, the people, because we don't know all the answers on how to prevent such atrocities like Stevante Clark from ever happening again. But most importantly, we believe in spreading the gospel of love, ELE. John 15:12 says, love each other as I have loved you. And if you skip down to John 15:18, it says, if the world hates you, know they hated me long before they ever hated you. Spread the gospel of love, ELE, means everybody love everybody. We need you guys to sign up for our memberships at www.imsacfoundation.com. They're not really all the way done yet, but what we are doing are getting them in the works and getting them in line and getting them ready for you. So if you go to www.imsacfoundation.com, you can go to our store, you can purchase the merch that funds the work, be a part of the movement, not the moment, and also become a member of something that is bigger than us, something that focuses on the improvement of quality of life, community sustainability, the promotion of intellectual independence, and of course, focusing on inclusive economic development and equity for our people in underserved, underrepresented, and at-risk communities. We love you all. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. Shit, I'm not even libertarian. I'm an American. I'm an American. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Everybody love everybody. And my mother always says, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And if you did not vote at all, you have no voice. Voteless means voiceless. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. This has been a 1 hour and 30-minute conversation with Nickolas Wildstar. I'm going to bring Nick in one more time. Nick, thank you for joining me, brother. You can always keep up with me. I didn't mean to beat you up on this podcast.
Oh
But
no, I enjoyed every bit of it.
I love you, and I guess you turned into a cricket Republican and not a decent Democrat, which I love you for it, because you know what, I'd rather you be. But I wish you the best. We're going to be keeping this conversation going, and next week I'm gonna have some members of some different groups, and I look forward to having you join that conversation as well. Thank you, Nickolas Wildstar, for tuning in as a special guest for Conversation. Ms. Clark, any last words you want to say to the people?
Thank you. Please support me as much as this man has. I don't think you could, but definitely visit my website, wildstar2022.com, and get involved in my campaign today. Like I said, I'm not being sponsored by major corporations or unions or any other special interest group. I really do want to serve the people of the community and make our community a much better place. And we can, of course, do it through politics. We just have to have better representatives in office. And if we can shift to that place where we are voting people over politics, then hopefully everyone out there watching this and heard everything I had to say, and my brother Stevante, what he said about me, we'll take that into accordance next election.
All right. Thank you, Wildstar. God bless you, Wildstar. Take it easy, brother. God bless America and every place else. Libertarian Schmidt. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, TJ. Thank you, everybody that tuned in and joined on Facebook. Everybody that tuned in and joined on YouTube. Everybody that tuned in on Instagram. We love you. We appreciate you. Your support means a lot. Go to www.iamstackfoundation.com. Make a donation. Join the movement, not the moment. Purchase the merch that funds the work. Become a member. Become a member. Become a member. You want to know how you can help? Become a member. That's how you can help. That's how you can help. Because if you're not a member, you're not helping at all. Okay? People over politics. I love you all. Black lives. Hello. Black. Hello. You whole lot of black. Hello. Goodbye. I'm out of here. All right, now. All right, we're out of here. There you go. That's how you end the broadcast.